How many female DJs have you seen? What's that? All right, have we settled? All right, let's have some silence in the room as we get started. Hello. Shall we settle and begin? I promise I don't want to keep you here too long, so please, if you let the room settle, we'll get started. All right? Fantastic. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Youth of Africa, good afternoon. Amazing. My name is Alice, as I've mentioned, and I'm honored to be your MC for this session. And I'm promising you that we're going to try and keep it short with your help. So, since yesterday, we've heard so many things about the importance of the youth for the now and for the future of our continent and the future of the world. And particularly for this session, we are going to discuss and showcase the unique challenges, opportunities, and potential of youth in rural areas. To start us off with opening remarks, allow me to introduce Her Excellency Madame Janet Oben Mwawasi, the Ambassador of the Republic of Kenya to Rwanda. Is she in the room? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, I'm informed of a slight change. The ambassador was not able to make it. And so we're going to have Mr. Raymond, who's representing the Republic of Kenya. Raymond, if you would please join us on the stage for your remarks. A round of applause for Raymond, please.
Well, we are here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Have you had lunch? Thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of the Minister for Youth Affairs and Creative Economy, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, who could not make it. But we are here after hosting Nairobi 2023, and we were full house. Who are in Nairobi, by show of hands? How many people are in Nairobi? Yeah, Nairobi was lit, and it was a great time to be in Nairobi. Allow me to read the remarks of the Minister, which is very brief, and will set the climate setting for the next steps that we are going to be having. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to stand before you here today at the 7th edition of the Youth Connect Africa Summit 2024, a gathering that truly has become the heartbeat of African youth empowerment and a testament to the continent's commitment to investing in its young generation. I extend my gratitude to the government of Rwanda and to our partners, the United Nations Development Programme, for hosting this monumental event and championing for the Youth Connect vision over the years. Today, young leaders, as we convene under the theme of jobs for youth through innovative skilling, we acknowledge the extraordinary opportunity before us. African youth are not only a great resource, but also the future architects of Africa that is united, innovative, and economically prosperous. By 2030, 42% of the world's youth will call Africa home. And by 2050, Africa will be the home to the youngest workforce, positioned as a powerhouse in global markets, and will be a demographic reality that we have to harness, and our leaders and policymakers must come out strongly to foster the innovation and growth and the opportunity that it presents with the demographic. Therefore, Kenya, as the most recent member of the Youth Connect Africa, is honored to join the 32 other nations in this transformative movement. Last December, we had a privilege of hosting the Youth Connect Africa Summit in Nairobi, where we witnessed a first-hand, vibrant energy and unwavering support of our young people and their potential. Through Youth Connect Africa, Kenya has connected its young people to a larger continental network, encouraging collaboration, knowledge exchange, and partnerships that will support our nation's goal and vision. Our journey is here inspired by our commitment to the Agenda 2063, where Africa's master plan for socio-economic transformation, the realization of this vision will depend on practical investments that we are going to be following up as a country. And the minister re-echoes the words of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, who indicated that we must come from mere talk to action. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya stands with you today to discuss the work towards tangible solutions through our ministry responsible for youth affairs. We are determined to provide Kenyan youth with the tools to thrive in today's and tomorrow's economy. This year's theme of Jobs Youth Through Innovative Skilling speaks to our collective duty to enhance youth skills and prepare them for the marketplace. We must therefore ensure that our education systems are aligned and our young people are exploring the emerging sectors such as the digital technology, creative industries, and green economy. And therefore, in closing, I'm deeply encouraged by the promise I see in each one of you here today. The future of Africa depends on your bold ideas, on your willingness to take risks, and on your commitment to unity and shared purpose. As Kenya continues in this journey with Youth Connect Africa, we stand ready to collaborate, innovate, and build a better future for our youth and for the generations to follow. May this summit ignite new ideas, strengthen our shared vision, and renew our commitment to a prosperous, united Africa. Let us invest in our youth and in the agency and dedication they deserve. Together, we build Africa today and for tomorrow. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Raymond, please. Thank you. So before we get started with the presentations that are coming up, I'd like to ask the tech team if they could please project the Slido questions. Hopefully that works. Okay. Let's have the QR code, please. Do you all have your phones with internet? No? Okay, those that do, can you please scan the QR code behind me or next to you, the screen closest to you, and respond to this challenge for us, to this question for us. What challenges do you think the youth in rural areas face, in your opinion? We've heard from the leaders and the different speakers in all the sessions, but we want to hear from you, the youth. What challenges do you think youth in rural areas face? Are you able to scan? Let's give that a moment. Access to information, all right? As you submit your answers, they'll keep popping up. Anything else, other challenges you think they face? This is your opportunity to speak to the leaders in this room, so please let them know what the challenges you face are. I'm going to assume the challenge here is internet, for those that don't have internet. If you still would like to contribute to that question, you can shout your answer to me. What do you think are the challenges that youth in rural areas face? And if you haven't thought about it before, this is your challenge, to think about them and the unique challenges or questions or lack of opportunities that they have. Tech team, maybe refresh that page. Yeah, okay. Oh, there we go. Access to finance, access to market, lack of infrastructure, lack of innovative technology and misinformation. Do we see anything that resonates, anything that we've heard in other sessions before? Yeah? Okay. I see a lot of access. All right, so that validates a lot of the conversations that have been happening here. All right, next question. Tech team, please, question 2. Please bear with us. Okay, those are answers still for the first one. Okay, the second question is, what opportunities do you also think that these youth have? So we don't want to just talk about the negatives and the challenges, but we want to also acknowledge the opportunities that are available. Okay, good leadership, fantastic. Energy, resources, they have land access, mentorship, land availability. Okay, a lot of land. Can I have some of that land, please? All right, education, good governance. Fantastic. Thank you so much for indulging me and conversating with us through this. All right, we're going to move to the next segment of this afternoon. So who can tell us, who can shout out to us what the theme of the conference is, the overall conference? What's the theme? Jobs for youth, and it ends there? Fantastic, through innovative skilling. All right, so this theme has brought us here together, and we've talked about youth being given a voice, being given a chance, being given opportunities, and so on. But we also have youth all across Africa, some of them represented in this room, that have really gone on and refused to stand and watch and wait to be rescued, as Ms. Ahuna said yesterday in her opening remarks. And they've gone on to do something about something, okay? And among them, we have 3 wonderful entrepreneurs that we're going to hear from. I'll not come back to introduce each. I'll just introduce them all at once, and then they'll come up and share with you what they're doing to change their communities, and hopefully you'll be inspired, all right? So we're going to have Innocent James from Tanzania. He's the founder of Soma Bags. And then he'll be followed by Retiana Tiamike Piri from Zambia, the founder of Invenka Technologies. And lastly, Ngabo Karejeya, the founder and CEO of Ibererya Bigogwe from Rwanda. All right, a round of applause for them, please. Okay, Innocent, the stage is yours.
So, every one of us in here have had a moment where you see something in your community and you say, I think I can do something about it. I can make this thing better. For me, that was about children and a reading habit. So I started using my free time and reading with the kids every evening. But as the time goes, I could feel that children were creating independent learning behavior, so I decided to make this my full-time job. I built a cart. As you can see, these are small library carts that will help me move books and borrow books to the kids whenever they are. And because as our initiative started growing, we encountered a challenge. One challenge that we encountered was that 86% of the children who were borrowing books from our library carts were not able to read, because most kids will come from school and do some chores at home, and before they know it, it's already dark. So my question was, I needed to find something that will help provide light for the kids and carry books at the same time. And our answer was Soma Bags. This is a product that is simple, made of recycled materials. These are materials that are available everywhere, but it comes with a solar panel. And with this panel, children could be able to use the lamp in it as a source of light every day. So further, I came to notice that in my country alone, every year, we import up to millions of backpacks for school, for children, spending over 200 million. So for all of you here, we have an opportunity to change the African problems into African jobs. This is an opportunity, this is an invitation, and this is a call to action. Thank you very much.
Greetings, everyone. I won't be as formal as I should be because I'm Gen Z, so we're not formal. My name is Ritiana Tiami Kipiri from Zambia, and I come from a rural area called Namwala, which is known for its cattle and being a floodplain. I'm 21 years old, and when I was 15, in my grade 11 of my secondary school, I was diagnosed with a kidney condition. And because as a young woman, already we do experience menstrual pain, and for me, having a kidney infection with menstrual pain was the biggest struggle. I struggled to go to church, I struggled to go to school and learn like everyone else in my class. Because I struggled for a few years, until I got healed from my kidney infection, I decided to look into what I could do to heal my pain. And when I was researching, I realized I'm not the only woman that is struggling with menstrual pain. And there are other women out there that are struggling with menstrual pain and other reproductive conditions. And so, because of that, when I was 17, I founded Invenca Technologies, and we have a device which is known as Pain Ease, and our device is a wearable device with a platform that is focused on providing multi-purpose pain relief methods for women and for men struggling with chronic pain, such as arthritis, and reproductive conditions such as endometriosis, menstrual pain, fibroids, and cysts. So our device is a small, and it's portable, and it's a rechargeable device. And as a young person in a rural area, I realized that for the people that are struggling with chronic pain, it is the biggest challenge to access pain management solutions and just pain management services, as there's inadequate physiotherapy assistance and the distance to travel to. In my district, we have one district hospital, and people have to travel kilometers just to access a simple massage. And so for me, that was an inspiration to continue to work on my innovation and to grow. So my innovation in 2021 was awarded the Best Youth Innovation under the National Innovation Initiative and was featured in Voice of Africa. So with my innovation, in my rural area, I'm able to help people that are struggling with chronic pain and reproductive pain manage their pain without them having to walk kilometers to access a simple service as a massage. And because rural areas do not contain electricity as much, For me, that was an inspiration to even make my device rechargeable, and even to the point that if anyone has a solar system, a solar charging system in the house, they can utilize that to power up the device, and the device can work for more than 8 hours. And so for the platform as well, for those with access to smartphones, they would be able to access other extra services in the pain management system that could be available. So instead of them accessing one pain management method that could be effective, they access more than one and manage their treatment themselves. And so we are implementing education as well, because we've noticed that other conditions could be prevented. So we are running initiatives as well to educate people in my area on how to prevent certain conditions, and also how to manage them with or without medication. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Ngabo Karegeya, and I'm professional and a proud cowboy. I have born and grown up in a beautiful. I have born and grown up in a beautiful village called Bigogwe, and I thought every rural place is beautiful like mine, until I come to university in Kigali. That's when I realized that not every place is like mine. Unfortunately, when I introduced myself to my classmates and I told them I'm from Bigogwe, no one could locate where my home is. So I had to say I'm from Gisenyi or Msanze for them to understand. And for those who know something about my home, it was negative stories or something like which is not real. So during COVID, I took the decision to introduce my home to the world. And I opened a Twitter account. And called it Ibere rya Bigogwe. Ibere rya Bigogwe is a famous rock in Bigogwe. So it was easy for me for people to know where I'm coming from. And then I started posting beautiful photo and landscape of Bigogwe and videos of us. So Bigogwe is very famous in cows. It's actually now the image of Rwanda when we're talking about our culture, about cows. People understand Bigogwe. So my main purpose was just to tell the story, and it was it. I had no business ideas about it. But in 2021, because of many comments for people who were requesting me to host them in my farm and made them cowboys like me, I opened like a travel company, and I called it Ibere rya Bigogwe. And now we are hosting people every day. Even now I'm here, I have two groups back home which are now enjoying the authenticity and the culture of Bigogwe. More. So our purpose is to make Bigogwe one of the most adventure and cultural tourism destination in Rwanda, where everyone will come and understand Rwandan culture, especially culture related to cows, which is the head of our Rwandan culture. Cows are the head, the pillar. So Bigogwe, we want to make it one of the destination which will host like people who want to experience real Rwanda. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Another round of applause for our innovators, please. To sort of pick your mood and understand how you're feeling about these presentations. The tech team, please help me put up the Slido again. The third question. I see a lot of you are very Slido savvy, so this is exciting. So the last question to you is, in one word, what inspires you about these stories? The different youth in the room, we have heard that you are all capable and you have the answers in your hands. As His Excellency President Paul Kagame said yesterday, we have the resources, we have the mindset, we have the ideas to solve our own challenges. And I think you've just seen and witnessed that here. So, in one word, what inspired you about these stories? So you are youth, I trust you to be chap-chap. I'm sure there are some answers coming already. Can we refresh, please? Amazing. Authenticity. Nice. Gabo, your job is done here. Innovation. There is nowhere we can't find opportunity. Opportunity is around us. How fantastic is that? All right? I think those are the bigger ones that I see. Start today, no matter what, no matter where, I suppose. Solvers, youth capabilities, taking initiative, solve our own problems. You think it, go for it. All right, that's a TED Talk there. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in the next segment, we are going to have a panel, and I'm joined by a wonderful set of speakers. I'm going to call them up on the stage to join me from the second seat and all the way to the end. First, I'll call up Mr. Maxwell Gomera, the UNDP resident representative in South Africa. A round of applause for him. Maxwell is quite a storyteller, so I'm going to try and make sure that he shares some of his stories. And then we have Belen Calvo-Yara, the European Union ambassador to Rwanda, Miss Belen. And then Elodie Shami, the Director General of Imbuto Foundation. Please. Oh, come on, guys, we can do better than that. No, louder than that. Amazing, all right. And lastly, we have Juliana Lindsay, the UNICEF Rwanda country representative. Thank you. Let me check the time. Okay, we have some time. All right. Shall we have the room settled, please? Let's honor the speakers on the stage. Let's have some quiet. Amazing. All right, so we are going to hear from the panelists, and then if we have time at the end, I'll open up the floor that you can address any questions to them or to the youth presenters that you just saw. Okay, is that okay? Awesome. Please note down your questions as they speak if you have any. All right, to my panelists, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your afternoon. I know each of you is pro-youth, and so thank you so much for lending us some of your time today. If I may start with you, Elodie, can you talk to us about why it's important to support youth from rural areas in your own personal view, and then I'll come back to all the other speakers on the same question. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice, for your question, and thank you for giving us this platform to converse with the youth today. I think that it goes without saying that investing in the rural youth is just as important as looking at those that come from city settings. Here in Rwanda, I believe about 70% of our youth comes from rural settings. So at Imbuto Foundation, it's paramount that we're embedding them and investing in them through the course of all of our programs and our interventions across the country. We operate from a philosophy that we get from our chairperson, Her Excellency the First Lady, which is about nurturing a seed. And seeds are not only planted in the cities, they're also planted in the rural areas. So it's important for us to make sure that we're providing them with tools that they need, encouragement that they need, as well as the platforms and infrastructure that they need in order to thrive. As we've just seen, a young and brave man like Karegeya wouldn't have these opportunities to showcase. So we, across all of our programs, make sure that we're investing in the youth that comes from rural settings as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Room, youth, please allow me one more time to ask you to please honor the speakers on the stage. If we could have some silence in the room, please, I would appreciate that. Awesome? Great, all right, so Maxwell, I'm addressing this question to you as well. Why do you think it's important to empower and support the youth in rural areas?
Well, you know, whenever I listen to the stories such as the ones I've just heard about rural people, I see myself in those. I see my children in that. As UNDP, we strongly believe that no one's dreams should have to be limited by their postcode, by where they live, because everybody has a right to live their dreams. The fact that you are born in a particular geographical location shouldn't have to determine the extent of your dreams.
Short and sweet. I did tell you he's a storyteller. Thank you so much. Belen, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alice, and what a privilege to be this afternoon here with these beautiful innovators and in the agri sector. So I wanted to also say a personal story. So I met Ngabo only a month ago, and I met him through Alice, the CEO of the Business Partnership Network in Rwanda, who is also a partner of Aguka, one of the European Union projects. And this was to go and meet and see with our eyes the beauty of the land of Ngabo and his project. And it's wonderful to see how, from an idea, we can see a tourism project flourishing to share the beauty of the cultural heritage in the country. And I think that makes us very proud to see how we can expand the opportunities in the rural areas. We see, as Elodie said, 70% of the Rwandans are born in the rural areas, 60% of the Africans in the continent, abroad also of the youth in the continent are grown in the rural areas, and it's important to build opportunities to all, to work on the land issues, on the capital access, on the different elements that block the access, and to unlock those opportunities for all.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And Juliana?
Thank you. It's great to see everyone. When I saw the topic for today about rural areas, I had to think of my parents. Both my mom...
Sorry, Juliana, to interrupt you. Can you hear us? No? Tech team, can you up the volume, please? I'm struggling to hear the panelists.
Maybe I'll get closer. Is that better?
Awesome.
Okay. So when I saw the topic for today, I had to think of my parents. My mom grew up on a farm with rice and with cattle. My dad grew up on a farm with cotton. My dad's family didn't own their land. They were pretty poor. My mom's family did own their land, but both of them are very rooted in the traditions of the rural areas that they came from. And so when I think about why it's important to pay attention to rural areas, there are two things that come to mind. One is equity. It's simply not right to leave out a large part of a country's population. My mom gets really angry when people are kind of snobby about, the city being sophisticated and the rural areas being backward. That really annoys her. But the second thing is opportunity that others have talked about. And it's not just opportunity because it's proper and right for people from rural areas to have chances, but it's also the opportunity for the country. If we think about Rwanda, think about the incredible opportunities for the country if we don't take advantage of what young people in rural areas can offer. So to me, it's both equity and opportunity.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Equity and opportunity. I feel like that summarizes what everyone was saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, youth of Africa, if you come from a rural area, here is a witness to you that tomorrow you can be the head of UNDP in one of these countries, or the head of UNICEF. All right, so do not let anything limit you just because you are from a rural area. All right, so coming back to Elodie. Elodie, can you talk to us about what Imbuto Foundation is doing to empower youth in rural areas to have a voice, to be able to reach policy leaders and really make an impact in their communities? Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. I think before I get to that, perhaps it's also important for some of us who are operating from the city settings to also acknowledge some of the things that perhaps are taken for granted when in the city. I think one of the wonderful speakers mentioned something about lack of access to transport. Yeah. Mobility is an issue that really puts a bit of a stopper on the potential for young people in rural areas. We also heard about broadband, that access to internet and what kind of solutions that they can come up with. But in terms of what we're doing at Imbuto Foundation, we run a lot of different programs in health, education, and youth empowerment. And I think that specifically for rural youth, through our agribusiness Imali Challenge, we really make sure that those young people who are in those communities that actually practice agriculture have access to that mentorship, to that capital, as well as just communing with other youth from across the country to come up with solutions to make agriculture cool again and to come up with solutions that really serve the nation as a whole, address issues of food insecurity. Yeah. That's one specific program that we run that really brings to the stage a lot of youth from the rural areas. But we also find that in the health programs that we run, for example, mental health or adolescent sexual reproductive health across the country, those peer-to-peer mentoring groups and seem to gather or garner more trust from the community, that they have young people from those communities who understand them, who can sit and have conversations that are real for their local issues. So we also have, just across all of our programs, make sure that we are making those available to youth across the country and not just in Kigali or other secondary cities. But we think that there is more to be done, especially on the infrastructure side, making sure that young people have access to spaces and to elements that help them really push forward their ideas.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I know that Imbuto Foundation is one of those that really walks the talk, and then I've seen Imbuto promote things like arts that have primarily been ignored on the African continent, so we appreciate the work that Imbuto Foundation is doing. Maxwell, back to you. From UNDP's lens, what kind of trends have you seen over time on the continent in the work that has been done to uplift youth in rural areas? And what kind of lessons do you think we can learn from that in the perspective of UNDP and your work?
Okay. You know, I grew up in a rural setting, much like the one that was described by
Gabo.
Yeah, exactly. And during school holidays, my mom would convert me into a professional goat herder and cow herder, actually. Mm-hmm. I know the weight of potential when you don't have the right tools to unleash it. Mm-hmm. But today, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because there are two trends that we're seeing in UNDP that can transform the lives of people and young people living in rural areas. The first is artificial intelligence. The second one is financial instruments. Artificial intelligence has the power to change lives, but only if we lead with empathy.
That's right.
Not algorithms.
Yes.
Driving outside this conference center, you will have seen many motor taxi drivers on the streets of Kigali. They operate mostly in cooperatives. They pay contributions to their cooperative. They raise capital amongst themselves. Yet, when those same people who are operating much the same way like a business, like Radisson, go to capital markets to raise funding, banks see risk, not potential.
That's true.
That is because the algorithms that we are using to determine whether or not they are credit-worthy are only seeing the risk that they possess, not their potential.
Correct.
that is something that we can change with artificial intelligence. Because we can start to create a new reality. We can start to create new risk assessment tools that can help those on the streets of Kigali, that can help people like my mother, who also struggled to find capital on the markets.
Yeah.
The second one is financial innovation. Now, rural Africa isn't poor because of the lack of resources, as His Excellency has said. It's poor because of a failure of imagination and our failure to love. Whenever I drive across rural Africa, I see that we still build houses using mud and thatch and poles, a technology that was really cool 500 years ago. Now I have to ask myself, why haven't we transformed 500 years later? Part of it has to do with we haven't come up with the technology that is needed to replace the technology we use to build those houses.
Right.
But also we haven't come up with financial instruments that make that technology affordable at that income level.
Yep.
That is not a result of some law of physics.
Right.
It's because of the choices that we are making. Yet we can change those choices and make sure that people in rural areas are able, young people in rural areas are able to access the same financial instruments that we access in cities. So, to every young dreamer in this room, the game isn't over. We are here to create new rules. You will have seen the discussion we had on Timbuktu.
Yes.
We are trying to rewrite the rules, to lead with love, to lead with empathy, and to reimagine what is possible. Because as long as your dreams are calling, it isn't over.
That's right. Thank you. I hope you captured some very catchy captions to put on your Twitter. Thank you so much, Maxwell. Coming back to you, Belen. From the EU's diverse programs, not just here in Rwanda, but across the continent, what kind of opportunities can the youth in this room and the youth that they're representing take advantage of, and how can they best position themselves to leverage these opportunities? Youth, I hope you're listening.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there is certainly a menu, but I think it's late in the evening.
Yeah.
The EU is very much focusing on agriculture across the continent because it's a backbone of the economy in Rwanda, but also in many of the countries. And it's about mainstreaming youth in the agriculture policies. It's about putting youth at the center of the economic growth also in the agriculture sector. So I would just list 4 of the key opportunities that we see and where we bring together the ecosystem of agriculture and the ecosystem of youth. There's the skills that is most necessary. We're working on TVET vocational training in the agriculture sector, but importantly in the climate-smart agriculture sector. We think it's the moment to innovate, to bring the climate perspective into the agriculture work we do, and to bring the skills that they are necessary to work in landslide restoration, to work on areas that are affected by climate, and the specific trainings in this space. 2, there is also within the skills a possibility to work on research and innovation. Research and innovation, again, to provide the solutions that are needed in a climate-smart agriculture space. 3, I would move to the young entrepreneurships. We spoke yesterday about Aguka, about our program to expand opportunities to the youth, to support ideation, to incubation, to post-ideation, in the creation of business opportunities. And this applies very much to the agriculture sector and the rural areas beyond agriculture, where there is a lot to exploit. But there is a need to scale up, and that I will go to the 4th.
Yes.
And it's about access to finance, and it's about the risk in investment, it's about taking on board the collaterals for all the young people. And then we're working in Rwanda, and this is an example of what we can do in the continent, with the Bank of Kigali, with INM, with the banks to provide loans and investment for young entrepreneurs, very much focused in the agriculture and rural space. It's about unlocking the capital that is needed to expand opportunities for the young people in the rural areas for agriculture and beyond.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Belen. So I'm hearing a lot of, thank you, a lot of injection and investment going into supporting youth businesses and entrepreneurship, mainstreaming them in policies, in conversations, and that has gone across all the speakers here. So as we come to the last question, audience, for those that have questions, I hope you're ready. I'm going to take the last question from the panelists, and then I'll open up the floor to you. Juliana, as the last speaker, no pressure on you. UNICEF does a lot of groundwork or foundational work to prepare the youth and children for a dignified and decent life. And so from your perspective and your expertise, what do you think that a lot of organizations that design youth empowerment programs seem to overlook or miss when they're designing these programs? What factors should they consider when they're designing these programs?
Good question. I think the big picture answer, and I'll give you a couple of examples, is one size does not fit all.
That's right.
So for example, sometimes we think that a country is all the same, but we forget that rural areas might not have good roads, might not have better electricity, might not have the same internet connections. But on the other hand, there are positives that we might not think about. You know, when I think back to my parents' experience, the community structures, the connection at the community level in rural areas is really strong. And sometimes in big cities that gets destroyed because people are running around like crazy, they have so many things to do. And that strong community in rural areas can actually be something really positive. Finally, if anyone's working on large national programs, or even for businesses, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking at a national rollout of your product or your service, we need to always remember to ask for the data, broken down, disaggregated, between rural and urban areas. Because marketing might be different, the type of product might be different, the messaging might be different, the pricing might even be different. So it's always important, I think, to look for that data disaggregation from rural to urban areas, and it applies to those of us in development as well. If we're working on health, if we're working on education, we need to understand those rural and urban differences so that we can help governments to provide the services that will make the most difference in those areas.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Juliana. And that makes me think of a friend of mine that's actually sitting in this room that likes to say, anytime you say something, she's like, what's the correlation? What's the connection between what you're saying and what this person is doing? And so that data piece that you just talked about, the different data sets tell different stories. And so if we keep collecting data that's just aggregated but not disaggregated to a granular level, then there's a lot of mismatch that happens in there. And I love the point about community connections. I've seen a lot of international programs that are designed, and then when they come to the field, then it's still them. Then they have no local persons involved. And so there is a mismatch and disconnect between what they're trying to communicate and what the community actually needs. And so thank you for highlighting that. So audience, are you ready with the questions? Yes? Oh, wow. There's a lot of passion here. Okay, so we have about half an hour left, and so that's ample time. You're welcome to address them to the panelists or to some of the youth presenters that we had earlier. Tell us your name, be very brief and concise. Don't let me cut you short. So can we have mics? We have some mics around the room. There's a gentleman here. There's a lady in a pink sweater. Where are the ladies? Okay, let's have this gentleman. Tell us your name, who you're addressing the question to, if any, and be very brief.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Augustine Chiza, and I am from the Africa Electronic Trade Group. So my question and my contribution, thank you very much for the very impressive and productive speeches. So my question basically is on the data that we have today, that in Rwanda today, in rural area, we have 17% of the unemployment for young people, compared to the cities, which is 15%. And then we have 3.1 in 1,000 young people who are migrating from rural areas to the cities, looking for opportunities. So my question is to all the panelists. So how do you segregate this data to be able to go back to where you implemented these policies and initiative to know that it is impacting the real people you were targeting versus the ghost people?
Good point.
So
Great.
second,
Very brief, please.
yes. Second is that how can entrepreneurs like Ngabo and others in rural areas, we can have 10x of them in 10x areas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I'll have the lady in pink, and then I have two gentlemen over there at the back. Please don't give us a lot of background. Just go straight to your question and who you're addressing it to.
Thank you so much. My name is Shaka Noela. I'm from Rwanda. So my question, I would like it to be dedicated to Mr. Ngabo. So I have two questions for him. My first question is, how has the growth of tourism company impacted the local community, especially Bigogwe, and what are his plans for the further development? For the second question, it's like I want to know the future of the cultural and adventure tourism evolving Rwanda, particularly rural areas, especially in Bigogwe. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ngabo, did you capture those questions? Okay, all right. And then let me have these two, yes. The gentleman at the back and this one, yeah. And then we'll take them at once.
Thank you, Madam, for the opportunity.
Be very brief and precise.
My name is Prince Amedo from Ghana. Please, my question is to the EU
Ambassador. Okay.
Please, during your presentation, you mentioned about some climate smart. So I want to ask, are there specific climate smart technologies or practices that are proven effective in our Africa context? Because climate change have been the big issue now, and then since we are talking about agri-tech, I want to find out if there are some specific climate smart technologies or practices that are proven effective in Africa context. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the last gentleman at the back.
Thank you very much. My name is Zeme Niyonagize, from Queen and a beautiful country of Rwanda. I have a question. What advice would you give to young people in rural areas who want to make a difference in their community but feel limited by lack of resources and support? This question is related to Juliana and from UNDP. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. All right, so let's take those questions first. If we still have some time, we'll take some more. All right, the first question was, how do you connect the data to the programs that you design? Anyone want to take that? It was open to any of you.
Sure, I can take that one. I think the question on data is important because data informs our interventions and our solutions. And I think that we're in times where there's access to so much information, and unfortunately that also sometimes means that there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation piled up into that. So I think that it's important to work with the right institutions to make sure that we are collecting the right data and dissecting it with surgical precision to make sure that we're answering the right problems. For people who spent enough time in research, you know that it's very easy to work on a solution for the entirely wrong problem. So at Imbuto Foundation, for example, we work a lot with community-based organizations to make sure that we are talking to the people who operate in those communities, who can get us the data that, for example, an international partner might not have access to, from national registries or other independent registries, but also at the same time making sure that when we are approaching the question of, okay, having access to that data eventually will help us or help these young people have access to the resources they need to answer the problems in their communities, to make sure that we're getting those resources as close to them as possible. Yep. And I know that in Rwanda there is a deliberate effort to develop secondary cities so that we're also solving a little bit for that mobility problem, the distances that young people have to travel to access resources. So I think it becomes a question of working across the board with other institutions that could also be key players in these solution designs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elodie. I hope that's satisfactory. Belen, did you want to respond to that too?
Yeah. So I would take two of the questions. One is on the climate smart agriculture, where indeed we are all facing new situations and climate impact in the work we're doing also in the rural areas. And indeed, there is a keen commitment to work on those solutions, to working on solutions on landscape, working on terracing, working on soil erosion. And there's a lot to learn in that space, but there's a lot to do in that space too. And this is a call on all of you here, entrepreneurs, to also invent and bring solutions to a problem that we are all facing these days. And that's what the EU wants to do precisely in that space. On the opportunities for the young entrepreneurs, we developed here two great, I believe, items, but I think it's all part of a collaborative ecosystem with other partners like UNDP here present, for instance. But we're working with Aguka about expanding opportunities, so accompanying and mentoring the business, the ideas from the ideation to the incubation process until the business is mature and ready to go out to the market, providing services to those young entrepreneurs from mentorship, but also to seed capital to get to that idea. But then we want to bring this forward to the secondary cities, right. So out of Kigali, there, closer to where the citizens stay, also bringing digital solutions, incorporating digital solutions to be more competitive in the work that is done. At the African Union level, there are a number of opportunities, and I certainly invite you all to check on the African Union EU Youth Lab with great opportunities for grants in innovation and in different areas. So please do go and check. Our colleagues are here, and I'm sure you'll have the opportunity to check with them.
Thank you. So, as Belen said, the EU colleagues are here. If you need to hear more, understand more about the programs, please grab one of them at the end of the session, or find me and I'll connect you to them. All right? There was a question addressed to Ngabo. Ngabo? Did you get the question addressed to you?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, if you may rise, please, and respond to the lady.
Oh, thank you so much for the question. Question number one is about the impact of our business to the community. We have actually created jobs, like some are local guides, some are artisanals, some are performers. We have dancing group which dance for our visitors, and some are even doing like when we have big group of visitors, they prepare food for them. So we have chef. Another question, another thing which about the impact is we have restored the pride of Bigogwe and the pride of cows among Rwandans. Now everyone is proud to be called the cowboy. Everyone is proud to be called the Umushumba. And now everyone is proud to be, to come from the village. Now we no longer say we are from the city while we are from the little village. Now we are proud to say we are coming from Bigogwe without saying any praise. Second question, it's about the future of tourism in Rwanda, especially cultural tourism. Now, cultural tourism is promising. You see many people are interested in visiting authenticity, exploring more about community, the way of life and everything. So now we have hope that many people will visit Bigogwe especially because we want to be home of cultural tourism in Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you. Go for it.
Okay, there was a question about how we use the data and some advice. You know, South Africa has probably one of the largest agricultural markets on the continent. So in UNDP, we can see the potential for South Africa's agricultural economy to solve some of the jobs problem for youth in South Africa. But it's not happening. So we've been looking at the data to try and understand why is that not happening. And part of the story that is unfolding is probably a story that most of you are familiar with here. If you are a smallholder farmer in South Africa and would like to supply your products to some of the large supermarket chains, the first thing they will ask you is, do you have good agricultural practice certification? Now, that certification program is something that you can get, but as a smallholder farmer, it costs you thousands of dollars. Yeah. No smallholder farmer has pocket change to be able to do that. And someone has to step in to help to do that. Yeah. Second, some of them will say, let's see your financials. We want to see what you've been doing for the past 2 years. Yep. Now, which rural farmer is keeping financials and coding everything for the unlikely event that Pick and Pay or another supermarket might offer them a chance? There are serious barriers to entry for smallholders and for young people who want to enter into that market. That's what the data is telling us. Right. So if we are to achieve, to transform that potential into reality, we are working to overcome that. Good. Now, somebody asked and said, what advice would you give to young people? Well, for me, there are 3 things that I would leave with you. First, solve for Africa. Your problems must solve the problems that you are seeing in your immediate vicinity. Yeah. Don't try to solve a problem that's in Europe. Much as it is attractive to do that, we have enough problems here. And if you solve for Africa, you are not only creating an opportunity for yourself, but you are helping to move this continent forward. Yes. Second, use the power of networks. Go to Juliana and say, Juliana, I have a solution. Help me. Go to your colleagues. Talk to people who you interact with and say, hey, I have a solution. Help me out. And lastly, be the best you can.
And I think to the gentleman that asked for this advice, he also said, what can you do when you lack resources and support? And I think a good example is Ngabo, who noticed a problem, and with 0 investment almost, he just took his phone, took pictures, posted on Twitter. Problem solved almost, but then he created a whole new business out of that. So you don't always have to have heavy capital or solve the biggest of the problems. Start with the smallest around you. Thank you. I'll take 2 last questions. There was a gentleman here. Yes, him. Any ladies? Is it because we have female panelists? I'll answer it later. Okay, I'll take 1 here as well. Okay? Remember, short and precise, and tell us who you're addressing the question to.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Can't hear you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before you is Mom Zabenon, still a student at UNLAC University in Rwanda. I have a question, but I'm addressing it to the room. I think introduction of technology system in agriculture is a way of developing Africa and its own agriculture in rural areas, right? Are we together? So don't you think that we should first introduce this in the system of education before introducing it into activities, into rural areas? Because I would like to say that I'm not so allergic to the Chinese, but this may end up going, the activities may end up going to the Chinese, and Africans will remain without jobs, as we are now. So if at all we buy that, can you allow me, I end up this side? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That was a question to every single one of you in this room. But, Elodie, did you want to respond to that? Oh, we did not hear your question. But at least, yeah, did you want to respond to him?
Great.
Yes.
Yes. No, I'm not responding. Mine is more of a contribution.
Sorry, we can't hear. Can you increase the volume in this mic, please? Yes,
Mine is not a question.
Okay.
It's more of a contribution.
Sure.
I wish to appreciate the youth that is moderating these high-level panels since yesterday. We don't want to take it for granted. You're doing an amazing job, Alice, and same as Michelle yesterday, and we don't have the opportunity to say that. And as we heard
You're referring to
yesterday-
me, right, as the youth?
Yes. And as we heard yesterday, it requires character, competence, and confidence. So thank you very much for doing
Thank you.
this.
Thank you so much. Awesome. We had one more question here. Thank you. Here, there was a question. Yes. And that will be the last one that we take.
Thank you so much. My name is Joseph Desiré Izamutuma. I'm a university student from the University of Tourism Technology and Business Studies. My question, the first one, is about rural young leaders who have talents that are hidden there in their villages. So as we know, most of us, we come in the cities and we study, and we know life in the city is hard. We say, like, they go back because they say the city is for the citizens. So what do you plan? What plan do you have for them so that where they are, they have gone back, they can, like, they can use their talents? The second question is, we are having this conference in the city, and each country is represented by a few number of youth. So I was suggesting, or yeah, it's like a suggestion. Is it possible that after this conference, maybe we will be having like some other conferences based on the countries, maybe in the provinces, so that even those who were not able to come to attend this one can have that chance to share their ideas? Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll make an exception. Just this gentleman, the first one, you raised your hand first, so I'll take yours and then we'll wrap up there. I'm sorry, guys, we're running out of time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, make it very quick so I can give an opportunity to one more person that side.
I will. My name
Let's
is
settle,
Martin
let's settle, please.
Washigadi from Kenya. I just wanted to know, what are the plans you have towards digital technological advancements, especially digital skilling that is market related, so that, you know, we have known about our friends or our youth who are doing something because they went on to use technology so that they could be able to market their product or do whatever that they're doing. Now, a lot of youth in the rural sector, one thing we are understanding, one thing we're getting to understand and see is that there is a move towards having a lot of people getting technological savvy through their phones. So they're mostly on social media sites or doing something else that they could be able to make an impact with. So what are the plans that you have to make sure that we have that digital skilling in the youth in the rural areas? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Last one over there, last one. Can we have a mic that side of the room, please? That's interesting.
Thank you. I'm the last man standing.
Make it very quick, please.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Ibelo Gute Emmanuel Ibodeng. I'm from Nigeria. I have a question concerning the digital economy. There are hundreds of articles, especially from the Harvard Business Review, claiming that data is the new oil, by which they mean it is a fuel that will drive the AI economy. How are you, that is all of you, please, partnering with the member states of the African Union to invest in AI towards good governance that will trickle down to the rural areas, in view of the fact that we have 39 years to go in achieving the Agenda 2063 goal? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, the room has voted. We'll give him a voice.
Thank you, my colleague. George Misango from Kenya.
You asked for him to get the mic, so please give him an opportunity to speak. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Actually, the question goes for the UNDP, the UNICEF, and the European Union.
Okay.
I'm being pinched with these youths who don't have they don't believe in themselves, running away for the jobs in Arabs or other countries. What are you doing? Because each and every time you check the news, you will see some of our good ladies being killed outside. Please.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's your question?
That's my question.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. We're going to respond to these questions, and then we'll wrap up the session. We've had a bunch. Okay, go ahead, Juliana.
Thank you. I think I'll go first this time, if that's all right. I'm just going to say a couple things that I think will answer a number of the different questions. First, in terms of opportunities that young people have when you have an idea, I fully agree that there are lots of ways to build up a business. And in Rwanda specifically, and I suspect in many of the other countries that are represented here, there are all kinds of different opportunities. I mean, in Rwanda, just thinking, there's Inhomoko, there's Jasiri, there's the business network that Alice runs, there's work that the government does, there's the Henga centers that the EU is supporting. I could go on and on. So if you don't know what the possibilities are in your particular country, it's worth asking the local authorities. In Rwanda, this goes all the way down to the village level. If the Umudugudu doesn't have the answer, ask at the cell. If the cell leader doesn't have the answer, ask at the sector. So what I'm getting at is be persistent. It may take a while. You might not get the answer you want in just 6 months, but be persistent, keep pushing, keep asking. When you meet a new person, tell them about your idea, and I suspect eventually something will come through. I want to say one other thing about digital skilling and access to opportunities for young people. One of the things that we in UNICEF have noticed is that governments and organizations are often very good at vocational training on how to be a carpenter, how to fix a car, how to be a hairdresser. But one thing that young people really need is soft skills, is communication skills, is analytical skills, et cetera. And so here with the Ministry of Youth and Arts, we've set up an online platform called Ingazi. It's ingazi.rw. Anyone can access it. It's totally free. There are over 1,000 courses on the platform that one can access for free. Certainly some here in Rwanda are in Kinyarwanda, but there are others in English or in French that young people from all over the continent could access. So that's one way that I would encourage you to look for opportunities to skill up in areas that are not technical, but sometimes are equally important. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. Maxwell?
On the question of artificial intelligence, it is true that artificial intelligence has changed the way we do our business, the way we are creating content, the way we are creating music, the way we are creating or consuming news has changed and changed dramatically. Now, there's an opportunity there for young people. And in UNDP, we are looking at how can we make that opportunity real? And there are 2 areas that we're working on. So in South Africa, we're looking at infrastructure development, working with the government and telcos in South Africa. That infrastructure development includes ensuring that young people and people on the margins and fringes of the economy have access to connectivity.
Yeah.
So amongst you, there's a woman called Pumla Hlati. Look for her. She's been working with South African government on spreading something she's calling TV white space to enable connectivity more broadly by people in rural areas. But we are also working with companies such as MTN to make sure that each person in rural area has a digital tool that enables them to do so. Because when you look at AI today, it is doing a lot of things, but it is not doing it from the perspective of Africans, because Africans are not feeding the artificial intelligence network across. The second one is creation of data centers and cloud computing. Now here you have companies like Liquid, which are doing that. We are also working with them in South Africa, Zambia, and other places to make sure that there are data centers on the continent that are accessible to everyone.
Amazing, thank you so much. And I think there was a question or request to make these conferences more available in rural areas as well. The Ministry of Youth is in the room. They have listened, they have heard, and UNDP and other organizers of such conferences have heard, they're in the room. There was another question, how can we encourage youth who migrate back because they couldn't find opportunities here? How do we encourage them? Belen, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to bring back to the title of, to Youth Connect. Yes. And to the opportunities of connecting the rural areas with the cities and connecting the cities in the continent.
Correct.
So it's about the connections that the digital space are giving us, the connections to bring talent, the connections of ideas, and through those connections we can achieve many of the proposals that they've been made here today.
Connections, connections, connections. And lastly, there was a question on how do we keep jobs or opportunities on the continent and avoid these people that are going out and some dying on the sea, with migration. What can we do to increase opportunities on the continent? Anyone want to take a jab at that?
I think what we are doing here today is precisely that.
Yeah.
And what we're doing here about empowering every idea that is brought by every individual that is here to flourish here where we are is about keeping the opportunities in the continent. And it's about providing solutions to the problems in the continent through the ideas that will be nourished here. So everything we are doing here, for me, is a contribution also in that space.
One step at a time. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say, you're absolutely right. What we're doing in places like at Youth Connect here is doing exactly that. When I was growing up as a young person, the idea of even moving abroad to make a living did not even come to my mind because I could see that there was hope for me on the continent. And I could see that tomorrow was worth fighting for. We need to put the same hope in young people, and we need to make sure that this continent is attractive for young people today.
That's good. Thank you very much. And I think that wraps up our session, and it comes back to the theme of the whole conference of creating the jobs and the skills, and Ms. Ahuna referred to it yesterday as well, creating the competence, the character, and also the confidence to create our own jobs and solve our own problems. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having us this afternoon. And I must say, as we close the panel, I really want to highlight again personally for me how inspirational it is to see a set of women leaders and a very big he for she, Maxwell here, taking up spaces, and honestly, and entrepreneurs as well. We had Ritiana, we had Alice, appreciated the female moderators or speakers, so thank you so much for that. This has been historically unheard of on the continent, and so we take pleasure and we appreciate the strides that are being made. And so, gentlemen in the room, can I ask you to do something for me, please? Gentlemen in the room, I can't hear you. Look at any lady next to you and tell her, you've got this. Find a lady close to you.
You've got
All right. And tell her again, you are what we need on this continent. Thank you. All right, ladies, now, back to the gentlemen. Tell them, you've got this, I've got this, together we've got this.
Very nice. Please. We've got this.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having us. I want to thank our partner, UNDP, that is the organizer of this session, and the co-partners. We have UNICEF, we have Imbuto Foundation, we have the EU in Rwanda. Thank you so much for having us. And now we will have a group photo. The entrepreneurs, if you can join us on the stage, please. We'll have a group photo. I think the photographers in the room are close by. Thank you so much for having us. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You've got this.